with red hot stories from post game. Interviews, analysis, to spend the hour right here at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Walkout, presented to you by our great friends at Cincy Shirts. Paul Daner Jr., Jay Morrison here with you. I'm here in Charlotte. Jay's at the homestead back in Cincinnati. And Jay, Bengals win 34-24 over Carolina and Andy Dalton. And I'll do it for everyone here. I don't know if you this will come across very good in an audio medium, but everyone inside the I-275 belt can exhale deeply as the Bengals avoid falling to 0-4 and all of the nastiness that comes with that, get their first win of the season, and buy some time to fix all the other things that are going wrong with this team as they head back to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I was thinking about the last time we did a victorious walkout was the playoff win against Buffalo.
Wow.
In the division round when Cam Taylor-Britt got his first interception, and there was not much similarity between that game for Cam Taylor-Britt and this game.
He did have a nearly amazing looking interception, even though he had committed a penalty right before that. All right, we have lots and lots of stuff that we are going to get to here for you. Of course, we want to talk about the offense and some of the evolution. I have a story up on the offensive evolution of today, and we're going to get into some of that here in a little bit. I've got something that the Bengals have never done with Joe Burrow. And Jay, you have something that you say they've never done with Zach Taylor that you're going to tell people in this game.
Yes.
I'm impressed. I'm ready. I don't know what it is, so I'm very excited to find out what exactly that is. We're going to have to talk about the state of this defense, all of locker room updates on things that were said, Trey Hendrickson with a stinger, all of that stuff from what I got down in the locker room here after the game, all of that coming your way. Again, presented by Cincy Shirts. So make sure you go. You can get anything you buy at Cincy Shirts, cincyshirts.com. Use the promo code GrowlerPod, and you get 10% off your entire order. So make sure you're using that. And guess what? Our Cincy Shirts trending shirt of the game will make its debut tonight. They have cooked up a good one. Shout out to the Cincy Shirts gang. We'll get to that as we get in a little bit later on the Cincy Shirts shirt of the game. Okay, Jay, primary takeaway from 34-24.
Oh gosh, there's a lot of directions you could go with this. Something I wrote about already that's up at BengalsTalk.com. The offensive line had one of their best games that they've had maybe since Joe Burrow's been here. 0 sacks. It was just the fourth time that Burrow's never been sacked in a game. First time, or that he hasn't been sacked in a game. First time since 2021, week 3. I mean, you're going back more than 3 years for the last time this happened. But it wasn't just the pass protection. They ran the ball really well. The blocking, 30 carries for the running backs and one scramble, one awkward slide capping scramble for Joe Burrow. But 30 rushes. What was it, 141 yards on the ground?
Yeah, 131 between those two, 141 and counting Burrow's awkward scramble. Yes.
Yeah, and it was, at the end of the game when you're trying to run out the clock and they're getting not just successful runs, but getting explosives. There was a 12-yard run, I believe, to cap off that final drive when they were trying to milk the clock, and Chase Brown had a 20-yard run. It was really impressive. I mean, you take out 2 holding penalties for Cordell Volson, one really ill-timed one on Orlando Brown that basically gave Carolina an extra timeout, and it could have been dicey. It pushed them back, and if McPherson misses that field goal at the end to make it a 10-point game, things could have been a little bit different. But other than those, I thought Amarius Mims played really good. And they always talk about don't make the same mistake twice. And he got beat on that same move that he got beat on last week where he overset too far to the outside, and then Jadeveon Clowney just cut inside of him. But this time there was no sack. It ended up actually being an interception because Burrow scrambled out, tried to make the scramble play with Jamar Chase. They weren't quite on the same page, but that's nitpicking. Overall, that was a really, really solid offensive line performance.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think, in pass protection, they were able to get to so many throws
Mhm.
and route progressions that you just aren't in the past used to seeing Joe Burrow being able to get to, and it created a lot of their big plays. I'll get to that in a moment. To me, the takeaway from this is, one, this is kind of how they're going to have to win a lot of games right now. Like, the defense is kind of in shambles. They're just trying to figure out fixes, get guys healthy, find out what's going wrong, and trial and error it until they get it right. It's a mess. It's a mess defensively. They were saved by, the interception on the Dalton pop-up, the goal line stand. I mean, 2 plays there that really changed the way that we're talking about this game, certainly. And you wonder what the result even would have been without it. But really, it's being this win and the way the offense played bought them time. They need time to not be out of it, to not have me and Jay sitting here reciting new stats about how 72 teams since the turn of the century have started 0-4, and none made the playoffs, and none even had a positive point differential, and only 2 even had a winning record at any point. So we don't have to do that. They get themselves back into being, what are they? They're exactly where they were last year. They're 1-3 with a couple of bad L's on their resume and a little bit of hope. Now, there's a long way to go. The hole's still deep, but finding any way to come out here and do it and build on that and check the box, as Zach Taylor said, and a lot of guys talked about the relief that they felt was very real in the post game. Once that Evan McPherson field goal, thank goodness for them, went through the uprights. Everybody could feel that relief. That goes a long way. That matters in morale, in the realistic nature of coming back, and what that locker room certainly felt like. More in the locker room in a minute. I do want to remind you, we are trending towards our next live show, maybe potentially still involving a team that's relevant. You wouldn't necessarily have said that after a loss today down at BetMGM Nation Kitchen and Bar at the Banks. That's going to be before the Philadelphia game on the 27th. We obviously do tons of giveaways, all the good stuff that we do down there. It's such an awesome venue. So you can come on down, $3 Cincy lights, all the fun that we like to have. And you can really do that any day, any Sunday, any big game that you want to make sure you have a good seat and good beer and good food. Go to nationkitchenandbar.com, reserve a table, and they'll keep tables for you available. So, no matter what, you'll be able to go get one. And then you can come join Jay at the second chance drawing on Thursdays. You're gonna become like the mascot for the second chance loser drawing on Thursdays if you keep winning these $100 in bonus bets and these $100 in Nation gift cards.
It's my second job. And that live show, the Bengals might be relevant. Will the Eagles? I mean, they got their doors blown off today by the Buccaneers, but I know this is a big relief for everybody in that locker room and all the Bengals fans out there, knowing you talked about 1-3, same as last year. This feels a lot different. First of all, you're coming off a win. Last year, you're 1-3. You're coming off a bad loss at Tennessee, and you've got a healthy Joe Burrow. Last year, you were still waiting to see when he was going to get back to full health. So those two things make this 1-3 feel a lot better than last year's 1-3. But like you said, you got to get that defense fixed.
Yeah, and we're recording this right now before they even kick off with Baltimore and Buffalo, but that's going to be a huge one to watch. We'll see what that score is, but realistically for the Bengals, you're still in kind of an elimination game mode against a Baltimore team that has also had a slow start and had some tough losses, and there's going to be a lot on the line as the Bengals try to right the wrongs of last year in AFC North play, figure out any way to stop another team's offense, which they haven't really done a lot of lately. Let's one thing that was a theme out of post game, and I spent some time. I talked a little bit to everybody, but the theme of everybody from an offensive point of view was, it feels like you really saw the vision of what they believed this thing could be and how it could be different. What the evolution of this offense actually looked like. And what it looked like was more explosives, more vertical playmaking, and so much more versatility in what they can do. And it really started with the play of the game, which was a mistake in decision-making by Joe Burrow, throwing the ball with 6 seconds left before halftime to Zach Moss in the flat, when That's the last thing you want to do, is force a guy to have to find a way into the end zone, or else you get nothing on it. Zach Moss, who awaited him? It was almost too fitting, but old friend Nick Scott was between him and the end zone. And Zach Moss does something that we have talked about, Jay, forever. And it was a big part of the move away from Mixon and the coaching staff's eyes, turning the check down into a weapon with a missed tackle created. They didn't feel like they got enough of those from Joe Mixon for all the good that Joe gave them. That is a perfect example. The check down becomes a weapon. Zach Moss makes Nick Scott miss when you have to have it and gets in. And we saw that a number of times today. But those kinds of plays where they can just, that can be the move and you can make something out of that, where you don't have to shove it into Jamar Chase in a one-on-one or try to find a tight window to T. Higgins somewhere. You can take easier throws, easier plays, and count on those other guys to make something of it. Can I stat you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Mine kind of touches on that play too, so I can go right after you here.
Okay. Well, this is actually just on explosives and it's a little bit of explosive in general. 10 plus plays that gained 10 or more yards in this game. You have them with, let's see, they had 16 in this game from 7 different players. Okay, over the last 2 weeks, they have 34 in 2 weeks. That is how you do it, and that is the most in back-to-back games dating back to the 2021 season of against Baltimore and Kansas City, when the offense was really going off. You have them scoring 34 points, 33 points in 2 weeks now. They're finding explosives. The fact that you have 7 different players creating those is what makes you see what they want this offense to be. They don't want it to be the Jamar show and the T show all the time. They want it to be something where other defenses have to be thinking about everything, and that is a big part of how they turned it forward today.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that the 2021 stretch of 2 games when they had that many explosives in back-to-back. I mean, how many different guys did it then? Like 3, 4. I mean, 7 is something else. And that's what you need to have. And you got it from both running backs. Surprisingly, you didn't get it from Gesicki. He would have been a guy that you would have thought would have been in that role. He had -9 receiving yards today. That is tied for the 3rd lowest total in NFL history by a tight end. And that was a crazy play. I think they misofficiated that play. He never should have been credited with a 9-yard loss on that. But yeah, you're right. That's what you want this to be, where, okay, you want to take this away, we're going to hit you with this, or we're going to do this. And it's not just going to be drip, drip, drip. There's going to be just a flood at times. And just like that Jamar, the 63-yard touchdown today, that was just a simple crosser, but Burrow had all the time in the world on that play to let him go all the way across the formation, hits him in stride. He breaks 3 tackles and then outruns everybody. And that didn't look like it was going to be an explosive play, but it ended up being one. And so it's a huge way for this offense to operate. And, I don't see any signs of it slowing down. Yeah, Baltimore's a much tougher defense than Carolina, but this defense is going to be something to deal with regardless of who this Bengals offense is going to be something to deal with regardless of who they're playing.
Yeah, their defense is going to be something for the offense to deal with as well. It's also part of it. What was your stat? You said you had something else that was with the Zach Moss play.
All right, we talk about it all the time when we went into the coin toss, winning the coin toss, and then why they defer, because they want the double dip. And you saw it today. They score a touchdown with 1 second left, and they get the opening kick of the second half and go down and score another touchdown. They have never done that in the Zach Taylor era. They talk about it all the time, and there's been some field goal touchdown combinations, but touchdown like that on the wraparound possessions, you have to go back to 2016. They did it against the Eagles in a 32-14 win. It was Andy Dalton, who they beat today, throwing touchdown passes to Tyler Eifert at the end of the first half and Brandon LaFell at the beginning of the second half. Now, there was 3 other instances where the Bengals scored a touchdown on their final drive of the first half and their opening drive of the second half, but the opponent had possessions in there. So it wasn't what today was, where it was basically back-to-back possessions. There was one, the 2021 season opener against Minnesota, Jamar Chase's 50-yard is like breakout catch.
Yeah.
They scored that with 35 seconds left in the first half. And then they came back and scored on the first possession of the second half. That's pretty close, 35 seconds versus 1 second. But even though there's only 35 seconds left, Minnesota had a legitimate drive in those. They had all 3 timeouts. They ran 6 plays. So they had a legitimate possession there. It wasn't just a kneel down possession. To have back-to-back ones with non-kneel downs, first time in 8 years they've actually been able to pull it off.
Okay. Wow, that's unbelievable. All right, I'm gonna try to. It's gonna turn this into a stat off real quick. But another situational thing that I think this speaks a lot to where they're at right now. You mentioned the offensive line, you mentioned the running game, you mentioned how many yards they were able to get to do. The confidence in that changes a lot of what they want to do. 3rd and goal from the 3 coming off the turnover, the Von Bell interception from the Trey Hendrickson pop-up, right? 3rd and goal from the 3. They have had 3rd and goal from the 3 9 times before today with Joe Burrow at quarterback. Okay, how many times do you think they ran the ball?
Probably none.
None.
Yeah.
Never before have they run the ball. Burrow sees it, confident in the look. Eric all coming in motion to blow it open and confident in his line. And they do. They move the Panthers, and Chase Brown nearly walks in.
Mm-hmm.
And, that to me is confidence in what your run game and your offensive line can do, willingness to go that when you see the look. And you can have so many more tendency breakers when you have more options, when you have a run game that can actually have some teeth, like the Bengals running game had today, an ability to go to that and not sit there and be like, we've literally never seen the team run the ball in this situation. Let's just sit on all the routes. Let's sit on Chase. Let's double T. Do we even need to have a linebacker in the game? It's like when that's the case, you're so much. This will help them get out of silos that they live in too often.
Mm-hmm.
Much if they're more willing to do this, and something like that is a perfect example. Never has Burrow handed the ball off there, and there it was, and it walked right in. Man, that's a great weapon to have, and maybe it's easier against Carolina and Washington, and we'll find out, man. Like we'll see what happens as the season goes on and better defenses get in their way, and if they can still pull this off. But it sure looks promising. It sure seems to be going in the right direction, and that one kind of stood out to me as a great example of where they're starting to move towards.
I mean, that is amazing. And I wonder, this would be a good question for Zach tomorrow in his follow-up press conference was, did they run there because it was a trend breaker, because they realized that they always pass it down there? Or did they do it because, like we talked about earlier, the offensive line was cooking today and they had all the confidence in the world? And you talked about Eric All. I don't think his block it was a great block wiping out the guy on the edge, but I don't even think that mattered. They ran it up the middle. Ted Karras gets to the second level and wipes out the linebacker. And again, old friend Nick Scott, he was playing so deep, he didn't get in there and fill in behind the Karras block, and it was so easy for Chase Brown to get in.
Yeah, Volson and Kappa with some nice blocks there too. But that's just kind of, what it's been, and so that ends up being a thing where you're now seeing the offense start to flip forward. Okay, let's talk about the defense. So let's start here. Trey Hendrickson goes out in this game. It looked really bad. It was a stinger from essentially friendly fire. He kind of ends up running into Sam Hubbard at one point, and he was just out. I mean, you had Zach Taylor, Lou Anarumo, and Dave Canales were all standing there next to Trey, kind of looking down and waiting to see what was going on as the trainers worked on him. It was a really scary moment, to be honest. He ends up gingerly going off. He was in a sling in the locker room, and stinger was what they said. We don't have anything further on that. I think he's hanging in there, but a wait and see on all of that. It's the one guy they just can't afford to lose right now. Mm-hmm. He's the one player that's giving them something on defense that's changing the course of games. I mean, that's his interception today, where he hits Andy as the ball goes up into the air, and Von Bell gets the pop up and takes it almost to the house. So more questions for the defensive line. Maybe it sounds like they're going to be able to probably get BJ Hill back. BJ was really trying to play today. He was out in pregame with his teammates in the warm-up trying to see if he could make it happen. Couldn't, but if he feels that close, you got to feel like they could be able to get him back. But if you get BJ Hill and lose Trey Hendrickson, it's a wash. And now we have a rotation at cornerback and potentially I don't know if benching is the word, but a bad day for Cam Taylor-Britt as he keeps getting beat deep. Andy Dalton looked like he was just looking for 29 and going after him. And so then you see DJ Turner comes in. He's subbing in for Cam. He was some drives subbing in for Dax. And DJ plays a lot, plays pretty well. But I think they're just searching for answers right now, Jay. And where that cornerback thing goes now is going to be really interesting to track.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you chalk it up to, even though he's given up deep passes before, this like one really bad game for Cam Taylor-Britt, or are we going to see DJ start next week and maybe steal that position back? He was just getting cooked on the releases. Like he was flailing at the guys and not getting any kind of jam on him. They're running by him and he's got incredible speed, but so do they. You can't catch up to those. And it almost looked like it was compounding and kind of getting in his head. And it was not good. And I do think it was part of the plan to work DJ. And Zach said that a lot of it was DJ had earned it more so than anything that happened on the field today, why DJ played. But if you remember when Mike Hilton went down, I thought it was interesting that it was that Josh Newton that they put in for that one play after Hilton got hurt instead of DJ Turner. Because I was thinking maybe they were going to put DJ in the slot, but they went with Josh Newton instead. So, and I think that's because they had the plan for DJ to play outside some today. But it's concerning. Lou has been on the record. He does not like rotating those guys, and he might have to.
He also doesn't like guys getting beat deep all the time. And that's what's happening. And not getting getting beat deep. He gets beat on the deep glance route or for the touchdown. It's just not a good day for Cam. Von Bell, I talked to about after the game, and I was just sort of saying, look, does this feel fixable? Does it feel simple? Does it feel like there's just a big process of trial and error? And he's like, it doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels like guys just need to trust themselves more, that guys need to play freer and know that they're ballers, and to go out there and trust their eyes, trust their instincts, and go play a little bit more, sounding like maybe they're in their head a little bit. He also said, look, I didn't know what was going on with that corner rotation. So this and DJ Turner kind of sounded the same way. I think that was most people that I talked to afterwards, and Zach Taylor hinted at it too. It was very much in-game Lou being like, enough, enough of watching this. And I don't know if Cam thinks he's trying to bait deep throws so he can make his big interception play like he did against, Worthy, or what he's trying to do. But it certainly felt like Lou was saying to him, no more of that. And when it happened again, it's just, that's enough. So where that goes from here will be hard to say. But again, what do they do well? What is this defense doing that they can hang their hat on right now that isn't done by number 91? Yeah. They allow deep passes. They get moved at the point of attack too often. I mean, when you can, on 2nd and 10, when a halfback dive gets 7 yards, and it seems like it happens all the time, it can't go that way. They get a goal line stand, they get a couple momentum plays, but there's still so much gashing, where you're just like, they can't get pressure. They still missed a ton of tackles.
Bad angles.
Geno Stone.
Yeah,
what is
bad.
That angle? Von Bell couldn't get there. Like, it's just, they look slow. And I don't know where all the fixes are coming from right now, but it's and this is Andy Dalton and the Panthers, and no disrespect,
right?
It ain't Lamar Jackson, okay? And good luck with that one next week. They're going to have to win shootouts. This offense is going to have to be a top 3 unit in the entire NFL for them to be relevant, not just to make the run they want, to be relevant, unless something drastically different happens with this defense fast because it's just this was discouraging. They made a few plays, right? And they even got to play from ahead. And they still, we're letting them back into the game. You get the quick drive down by the Panthers, and the quick next thing you know, they're back within 10. And all of that forced Evan McPherson to have to make that 46-yarder at the end. If that thing doesn't go through, hold on to your butts. It did. The Bengals breathe easy. I don't know about the defense. I can't sit here and tell you that I think that there's easy fixes no matter what we hear from them.
One bright spot I thought on defense today was I thought Chris Jenkins played really well. Second career start, or not start. I can't remember if he started or not, but second career game, and he was tipping passes. He was the one that blew up that fourth down play for the goal line stand at the start of the game. I thought he played really well, and that's encouraging to see a young guy kind of take that leap at the week after making his debut. But you need a lot more guys to step up and start playing like that to make a difference with this team.
Chris Jenkins said it was pretty cool to do it in Carolina, where his dad played for so long. And he's like, some of my dad's old teammates. There was Julius Peppers pounding the drum, and you see his name up there. And he says some of the old teammates like even talked to him or said hi or whatever it was, and kind of a full circle thing there for him. All right, I want to do the Cincy Shirts shirt of the game.
Yes.
So Cincy Shirts, of course, our proud presenting sponsor here on the Walkout all year long. It's been hard to say, hey, they created this shirt from this really debilitating loss that really makes Bengals fans not feel so good. A win has come, so a shirt has come. And here is this week's shirt. It is Uncle Rico, the punter extraordinaire, Uncle Rico. He can kick a person over them mountains, of course. A shout, those of you that know, if you know, as they say. But great shirt. Love the Uncle Rico shirt. You can go to Cincy Shirts, pick up an Uncle Rico. Support your local punters, people. Support your punters. Get an Uncle Rico shirt and support a dude that was just absolutely booming him. Use GrowlerPod as your promo code when you go there and buy it. We'll have the link on the tweets, and you can see that as well when we put the show out. But I love the Uncle Rico shirt. Great work from the Cincy Shirts team here.
It wasn't just the booming one. He had that really nice touch one too that he dropped at the 8-yard line to kind of pin Carolina back. And it wasn't just this week. You're up to the minute stats, punting stats in the league. The league's leading punter in terms of gross average, Ryan Rico, 58.4, a full 6 yards more than Ryan Stonehouse, who has been the leader the last few years at 52.4. Your league leader in net punt average at 49.7. 49.7 net is insane. Ryan Rico. He leads the league in both categories at the moment.
Unbelievable. And shout out to Tyson Anderson and some of the coverage that they had along with them, which was, kind of what made the punts really pay off, and they did in a big way. Jay, were you a Napoleon Dynamite guy? Did you watch Napoleon Dynamite? Were you an Uncle Rico Napoleon Dynamite guy?
I did. I that's one of the movies I get the reference to.
We did it.
We found one.
Yes, one. Finally, we have a movie reference that you get. Great stuff, of course, from our friends at Cincy Shirts on that one. So, the one theme from Zach Taylor after this one, complimentary football. And you did see that. The defense made enough plays. And when they got the turnover, they end up capitalizing on it with a touchdown. When the offense couldn't do what they needed to do to put the game away, they get the big punt from Rico in the coverage to help pin them down there and have Andy Dalton coming out of his own end. They're able to run the ball. They get the field goal from McPherson to help put it away, and the drive that helped put it away. So much of this was more of a complimentary football game. It also was a low degree of difficulty against this Carolina Panthers. But you know what? A win is a win when you consider what's happened so far and what's happening around the league. I mean, the Raiders, who this Carolina team made look stupid, end up getting a win against the Browns, sending them to 1-3. The Colts, who have certainly struggled, beat Pittsburgh and knock them off the 3-0 perch and bring them a little bit back towards reality. And they do it by doing what? Bring out old man Flacco, wheel him out again. Old man Flacco comes in for Richardson and ends up tearing it up, throws a couple of touchdowns, leads the Colts to a win. Unbelievable. He's trying to – can you win the comeback player of the year 2 years in a row, or have you already come back? Or is it still remarkable that Joe Flacco's able to come out and do this?
I mean, I think you can if you start the season on the bench again and come back. Yeah, I absolutely think he can do it. And
I mean, he won it because he came back from aging,
From
which
the
is why
couch.
he was
Yeah.
from the couch. So I don't know. Is he still coming back from the couch and from being older? I don't
Yeah.
know. But congrats to Flacco.
I was going to say, too, real quick, you mentioned Evan and the 46 and how big that was to make it a 2-possession game. Let's not forget the 56-yarder. I mean, that is a long field goal. And that whole drive, that possession was an abject failure, just the disaster after disaster. That was the -9 play for Gesicki, and then you have a holding penalty. It pushes him back even further. And that was a really big salvage there. Just an A grade for special teams all the way around today in Darren Simmons groups.
Yep. Joe Burrow gave a pregame speech. You know, we talked this week about him picking his spots and when he's going to find those. And we sort of referenced, you know, remember in the playoffs on that Saturday night team meeting, stood up and said, you know, it needs to be about us. I don't like why not us? We're really the team. It didn't sound like it was a groundbreaking speech today, but I just think it was more noted by everybody that he said something, that he stood up and said, look, our backs are against the wall. It's one game, man. We got to be one win, one game. That's all our focus needs to be. And the fact that he's standing up always gets people's attention. He doesn't do it that often. He's not a big rah-rah pregame speech guy, as he said. And that is part of today. I think that gets a lot of headlines, and I think that gets a lot of talk. But I think it was the way that they played offensively after that will have much more of an impact in the attitude and focus of this team as they go forward, and knowing that this offense can carry them. They just need the defense to make just enough plays to allow the offense to have 33 or 34 points be enough. It should be enough.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to get to that every week, but they need a little bit from that defense right now. And the offense should be able to carry them a long way.
Yeah. And I thought it was notable too, if you take Burrow at his word, it was an organic thing. It wasn't a pre-planned where early in the week he said, I'm going to get up and talk to the team before the game. He said he didn't realize he was going to do it until he got to the stadium today. It just kind of, he just thought it was necessary and needed. And yeah, it wasn't a win one for the Gipper kind of speech, but you're right. When you don't do it and then you do it, you pick your spot, it resonates with guys. It's not something he's going to be able to do before every single game, but he did it today. They got the win. Now they're back on the right track.
Yep. All right, next game, Bengals, Ravens, big one at Paycor Stadium next Sunday. We will, of course, have all your coverage leading up to that. You can see Jay and I with Mo, and we'll have our PD and Jay and Balds Don't Lie. We'll have Who They Light, all the shows. You know the shows by now. You know what's coming at you. Send any questions, any growler bets, any grievances, any rants that you want to us at the Growler Podcast at gmail.com. And we will sift through those and try to get to as much as we can. You guys have been hammering that inbox with stuff, and I appreciate it. We're doing our best to get to as much of it as we can, and know that it's all seen, it's all read, it's all noted. We'll keep trying to get to that for you. All right, Jay, I will be back, and we will see you back in the homestead tomorrow as we talk to Zach Taylor, and we'll have a coordinator and a little bit more information for you there. And then we'll be back with our show and Mo on Tuesday. So, all right. Thanks everybody for listening. We will talk to you next time. Have a good one.